This podcast is brought to you by the Deluxe Edition Network. To find more great shows on our network, head over to theden.show.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials.
Wow. Did not know that. Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife? Oh, this is going to go downhill real quick.
What is going on? And welcome to Take on the World with
Johnny
and Mike D. And as you heard at the beginning of this, we are now on the Deluxe Edition Network.
Yes.
My friend came to me and asked me if I wanted to join the network. And I'm like, well, what's it cost? He goes, it's free. He goes, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Free's for me.
Free. What it's about is they have, about 8 different podcasts on the network right now. And they're all about promoting those podcasts, including ours. They do a podcast of the month. And this month, the podcast is that we're taping in November. So this is the podcast of the month for November. It's Highly Judgmental Podcast. You can go to the den.show, get more information on any of the podcasts, including Highly Judgmental. And they do sports and music. They do a lot of NFL recaps and stuff. I don't watch NFL. I don't listen to those. But they do NHL, NBA, other sports, and music, which I thought you would think was cool.
Heck yeah.
I listened to a couple of the podcasts, and it's the way we do our beer reviews. They take the music and they give their honest opinion on the album or music they're talking about, which is really cool because I like when people are just,
short and to the point,
straightforward, and look, this is what I like about it, this is what I don't, and you may feel different, and that's cool. So check those guys out. Highly Judgmental Podcast. You can go to the den.show and find out more about them and the other podcasts on there. So, you and I have not been together for a couple weeks.
No. Like 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
3 weeks. Now, I did do the interview with R.A. Fisher, author.
Yeah. Not here for that one.
We're not here for
Which
that.
Probably worked out better because I think
Nathan and Lexi sat in, so.
Yeah. That's I'm not sure if I would have enjoyed that one. I never read the book. And
but she went over basically what they went through to get published and stuff like that, and I thought that was interesting. I did read the book, and I enjoyed the book.
What was it about?
It's a fantasy novel. I can't say because I'm not going to give any spoilers. We didn't give any spoilers on the show.
I don't know. I've never really been. I've tried to get into some stuff, but it's not my thing.
I used to read a lot, and I don't read as much anymore. But once I sat down with the book, and I had to push myself to sit down with the book and read it. But once I sat down, I started zipping through it, and it was like I never stopped reading. So
Yeah.
I can't wait for the second book. It comes out.
I guess
by the time this is out, the book will be out.
I guess you could kind of consider like Lord of the Rings fantasy, which I like that. That was fun. I could never read the book. There's way too much going on. A lot of tiny words and a lot of pages.
And I got this yummy beer that you brought me. That is good. I like that.
Yeah.
What is it?
Better. Fucking $5 a can.
Double Broken Heels, hazy IPA, double hazy IPA, with a 9.2%.
To support that local business here in Pennsylvania.
Yep. I also have a little bit of vodka here, and that is also a Pennsylvania product. Pennsylvania preferred. It's three bitches vodka.
Can you taste the difference in between vodkas?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I can.
I can't.
You must always buy cheap stuff.
No. I usually just buy Tito's.
Tito's is really good. It's got a vanilla hint to it. It's made with wheat, and that's where you get the vanilla hint from.
I never. See, I don't get any of that.
Well, I guess when you drink it that fast.
Yeah, true. I mean, I really don't. Just kind of tastes like nothing to me.
What's like the Crystal Skull vodka? Have you tried that? I didn't like it.
No, but people said it's horrible.
It's ridiculously priced. It's a cool ass bottle.
Yeah. Wow, and it's made by a company that is owned
by Dan Aykroyd.
Right.
And it's supposed to be triple filtered through diamonds and
these gemstones or river stones. It's really odd.
To me, it tastes like New Jersey pond water filtered through someone's dirty underwear.
Yeah. He was on Joe Rogan podcast and he was talking about it, which I didn't know he was like highly into aliens.
Yes. Oh, yes, he is.
All that shit. It's a good podcast. Funny.
Yeah. Did you see the one that you said you saw the one that I sent you before?
I've watched that like 3 times.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I just heard a podcast where they were talking about. I think that one podcast you turned me on to.
I don't mean to interrupt, but you're pegging out there a lot.
What do you mean?
You're going up in the red a lot.
You're red.
Yeah, I'm high too.
You said you can't hear me. How's that? Is that better?
No, I said I can't hear myself. I can hear you.
As you should. How's it look now?
That's better.
Maybe because I was leaning up on the microphone like this.
Yeah, I pushed mine away.
I got to remember that my voice projects.
But yeah, the Travis Walton. But did you ever see the movie?
I don't know if
Close
I have
Encounters of a... No, it's not Close Encounters. How was it? So I forever and a day thought it happened upstate Pennsylvania. But no, it was not, I don't think it was in Pennsylvania at all. It was like out somewhere out west.
Yeah, they were lumberjacking.
They were lumberjacking and you know, I don't know how the fuck we're going to go on this side tangent of this movie, but it's just hard to refute that, like, what, 4 or 5 guys saw him sucked up by this light and disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, and they all kind of had the same story.
Yeah.
It all matched him and what he was saying, and they've all but one of them has spoken publicly. The one guy said, "I'm not putting myself out."
Well, I mean, you look at Travis Walton. He didn't even want to come forward. No. He's like, "I don't want to talk about it." He's like, so he wasn't getting paid. He had no one promoting him. He wasn't pushing an agenda. He just said, "I don't want to talk."
Well, his interview on Joe Rogan was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, just to hear the story, like, I had heard the story before, but I didn't hear it from him. You know what I mean? And it was him telling the story. It's all these years later, and man, that's weird.
And his story hasn't really changed.
And I am a skeptic, but it was unidentified flying object, which doesn't mean a UFO, or doesn't mean from outer space. It just means it could not be identified. And he said during the interview several times he felt that it was something of it was in Canada.
Was it?
Were they in Canada?
British Columbia? Because no, they were in Pennsylvania.
He kept on saying it was he felt it was an American military test thing. You gonna look it up quick?
Tried it.
Okay. But I found that interview. That's why I sent it to you, because I thought, well, that's pretty cool. It's something that at some point we'll cover on this podcast. Maybe not a whole podcast based on that because it's been done so many times, but touch on it a little bit. Go through the details.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky.
Oh yeah, that was the movie. And where was it?
Arizona.
But I might be thinking about something different with Canada.
I just suddenly said Arizona because they said that's where he died.
How many lumberjacks are in Arizona?
That's what I think.
So we were up at Black Rock again this week, and their Doppelbock was back. I love that beer.
Yeah.
On the lines of the Aventinus.
Oh shit!
Not as good as Aventinus, but that same style.
Yeah, Arizona. The Apache Sitgreaves National Forest.
Okay.
You're Snowflake, Arizona.
You're a snowflake.
I think of Arizona. I don't think trees.
I don't either.
Lumberjacks.
Like lumberjacks in Arizona.
I think desert, like
what are they,
mountains.
Cutting down cacti? So we got today for your approval. Now, when you think of the Revolutionary War, where do you think the battle places are?
Pennsylvania, New York, especially down towards Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Maryland.
Gettysburg, Lexington, Concord, Philly, New York. I didn't know this, and I was watching something that someone mentioned on a podcast. I'm like, really? So I went and did research on it. I'm like, and I called Jeff. I'm like, hey, this is going to be my topic. The United States, in the infancy of the Revolution, attacked Great Britain on the British mainland.
That's something they don't teach you in the school books.
I never heard that before. And a whole bunch of stuff went on here, and basically this attack was like the inception of our Navy, today's Navy. So when you think about American Revolution, the images of battlefields like Gettysburg, Lexington, Concord, you don't see too many stories of the American colonies' naval forces because we really didn't have any. And even less is known about the America's naval attack on the British mainland. So that's what today's topic is: America's naval attack on British mainland. Give a little history on how our Navy started. Do you have any clue?
Well, I'm sure it involved a boat somehow.
Very insightful. Very insightful.
A boat and some sailors.
I'm glad you're here today.
No, I have no idea. Obviously, there's a need to protect shipping lanes and protect your coast. What not other than... I would have to say we would have to do something with transportation.
And it did.
Supplying goods from getting attacked.
So on Friday, October 13th, 1775, Continental Congress voted to outfit 2 sailing vessels and make them ships of war by arming them with 10 carriage guns. And I think I have pictures of what a carriage gun is, and swivel guns. Now, carriage gun is basically what you would see the cavalry pulling along.
Yeah, the wheels on it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because they wheel it in and out of the side of the sides of the ship.
Well, they took those guns and they fitted them so they could go on a ship. So they take them and they put smaller wheels on them and a smaller chassis.
Yeah. And
they actually have big ropes and they pull them in through the portals so they can shoot out the ship. So anyway, 10 carriage guns, swivel guns, and a crew of 80 men patrol and intercept British transports carrying munitions and stores to the British troops in America. This Continental Navy was the inception of today's U.S. Navy.
So our Navy started from the need of us defending British ships?
No, they were going after the British ships that were bringing supplies to the Brits. So because the Brits were fighting so far away from home, they had to bring munitions and stuff here because they couldn't get it from here anymore.
Okay, I just misunderstood.
So they were attacking those ships. Oh, by the way, see my shirt?
I did. I love it.
The only American on the German drinking team.
So I always found that whenever I, speaking of guns and shit here for cannons, when I used to talk to my grandfather, when I'd ask him what time it was, and he'd tell me, it's 1/2 the monkey's ass and quarter till the balls. I'm like, oh, what? And like, not too recently I looked it up, and I, as far as I can see, it was a naval term.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Like, what was like it had something to do with the sunlight hitting the cannon and casting a shadow, so that's what time you knew it was. Because I guess next to the cannon there would be a pile of cannonballs, but they didn't call it a cannon, they called it a monkey's ass or something. But it's just really strange, but it was interesting.
Yeah. Wow. Wrong thing. Forget it. If someone says this when you ask time, it means you should know. Forget
Well, why don't you search it with like something to do with the Navy? There, what is it? Something ships, decks, balls.
Where?
You just clicked on it. No, you're here.
There we go. A monkey's ass was a device used on British warships to dispense warm cannonballs. The warming cannonballs was necessary prior to firing them. To get predictable characteristics in the barrel. Since the monkey's ass is a tubular device, it would cast a shadow on the ship's deck. The balls waiting to be warmed were kept nearby, and the brass monkey. The whole works were manned by the powder monkey. So,
What does it say about what time of day it would be?
no, it's not a specific time of day. It's just
Well, it would have to be because if they're going off of when the sun casts a shadow in a certain spot,
right, but depending on which direction the ship's going out, the shadow.
so it just basically means like I don't fucking know. That's somebody
Pretty
else.
much, yeah. Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine.
It's get the fuck up, kid.
Yeah. You asked too many questions. That was one of the things I got corrections all the time. You know, when you're a fucking newbie starting out, trying to get your, trying to get it in, and you start asking people questions. Whoa, what's with all the questions?
Yeah.
So a lot of it's just like wait and find out yourself. Like nobody's going to tell you.
Live and learn, my friend. Live and learn.
And then it only happens till after the fact, after the incident happens or something happens, is when you get schooled. See, that's why we do it this way because,
Well, it's never time to teach somebody until it's time to tell a story.
true.
You learn in corrections by listening to stories. What you used to. Now, apparently, you walk into jail for the first time and you know everything.
Or, well, listening to stories or having it happen, and then you're part of the story with the storyteller after the. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But these new kids coming up, they walk in, they know everything.
Started up generation kids.
Hey, damn kids, that means we're getting old, dude.
Yeah. Like the whole.
Get off my lawn!
I don't answer you when you get like I ask somebody a question, they look at you, just look away, like ignore you. I hate that. Just say something, like I don't know, or what, or what. Let me get a can of oh hell yeah.
So, the need for naval vessels for the American colonies in that 1775, there was no doubt in anybody's mind that the British had full naval superiority and they could wreak destruction on any coastal city they wanted to. And it would halt any trade coming into those cities, which, because we were so dependent on goods coming in, they could stop our supply of gunpowder and stuff like that as well.
That's so weird. So we're fighting them at this point in time. They have the ability to stop, or were we fighting them at this time?
Yep.
But they have the ability to stop ships supplying us with gunpowder, but they didn't?
They did.
But we were just, I would assume they were French ships.
Well, I'll get to that, Johnny. Go ahead.
You're welcome. I see I do not
At this time,
disappoint.
the individual states had commissioned small fleets of their own for the defense of their local waters. So once the ships got to a certain point, these ships would go out and help them get in and keep being attacked and controlling British ships. some of the members of the Continental Congress hoping, this is actually before hostilities started, with some of the members of the Continental Congress hoping to avoid an armed struggle, they hadn't yet authorized privateering, and privateering is basically legal piracy. But there was a small contingent of Congress that had been advocating for a Continental Navy from the onset of armed hostilities. So just a little timeline to go through here. The Boston Massacre was in March 1770. In September 1774, the First Continental Congress was held. It was not until April 1775 the battles of Lexington and Concord were fought. So May 10th, 1775, the Second Continental Congress convened. And on June 14th, 1775, Congress established the Continental Army. There were still some of the people in Congress who thought it was just crazy to...
The camera just flashed something.
Did?
Said something on the screen. Doesn't look like it's recording.
Okay, before we're so rudely interrupted by a faulty camera.
Recording now?
We're recording.
All right. Did you change anything with my mic?
I did not change anything with your mic.
Okay.
I turned it off so we can't hear you, but I usually do that. So, as I was saying, still some in Congress thought it was foolish to challenge the mightiest fleet the world had ever seen at that point. I mean, that could be argued. The French and the Italians had great vessels. The problem with and Spain, but sorry, I thought I just gave you 2 glasses. The Spanish fleets, as I found out watching another video, named a bunch of their ships the same name.
Really?
Yeah. I was watching something about a ship lost in the Bermuda Triangle.
Eau de Toilette.
It was the San Pedro. That was the name they used. It was like they had 4 or 5 different ships. And
can't see how that would all be confusing.
Right. That's horrible. So.
Hey, Juan. Hey, San Juan. You're going to be stationed on the San Pedro.
Which one, Ming?
Yeah.
There was a delegate from Rhode Island that presented a resolution for the building and equipping of an American fleet. That resolution came under attack during debate. Samuel Chase of Maryland called it the maddest idea in the world to think of building an American fleet. Even the pro-Navy members found the proposal very vague. It wasn't specific enough, and it didn't say how much it would cost, because at that time, cost would be a big factor, because we had nothing. There's no taxes. They weren't earning revenue the same way we do now.
We weren't even America yet, were we?
Nope. This is the Continental Congress. This is where
This is like a rogue
nation.
Yeah, like a bunch of guys getting together, some wealthy guys getting together and deciding, hey, we're going to build a navy.
But it was a bunch of guys getting together deciding that we were going to fight the British.
Yeah.
So while they couldn't agree on establishing a full-fledged navy, some of the members who weren't so sure of it, they could be tempted into a more short-term solution. As would happen, there was intel of 2 English brigs were leaving England bound for Quebec. And I guess they were taking the munitions and stuff into Quebec and then bringing it down into the United States, which it doesn't, at that time, I guess, but it doesn't make sense because we had pushed the British out of New York at one point.
I don't know. Maybe they just had it was easier for them to get it down through rivers and stuff.
I don't know. So the committee was appointed to explore how to take advantage of that situation. All the members of that committee were New Englanders who were very pro-Navy.
Well, I know that for a fact when I went up to Canada, or used to go up to Canada, every one of the rivers, not every one of the rivers, but where we were at, the lakes that attach the rivers they all had locks on them. Some were massive, and some dropped like 60, 80 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was really cool because you could sit there. Maybe look at a thing for Smith's Falls, and anyone can go there. You watch, and these big yachts come pulling in there, like 100-foot yachts. I shit you not.
In Ontario.
Yeah, and you watch them just go through like 5 different locks, and they drop down, and they can raise them up. And that's how they built them, so the Americans wouldn't come and invade Canada.
That's cool. I like locks. I think they're cool as shit.
And then they have like small ones you can take. Well, you can take a boat through any one of them, but you know, they had the upper Rideau Lake and the lower Rideau, and to get to them, you had to take this small lock. Would take about 15 minutes to get there. It was all hand cranked wooden. It was really cool. But I mean, you can't really plan an invasion of a country if you're going to sit there for 15 minutes in a freaking lock, waiting to like, you know, go up 3 feet to get to the next lake.
It was like the sniper we talked about, how the ships were going downstream. He couldn't snipe them, but when they came upstream, it took so long that he could just sit there and pick them off. So this committee recommended that the governments of Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut dispatched armed vessels because they had their own small fleets. Each of these, the coastal cities had small fleets. To intercept the munition ships. Next, they outlined a plan for Congress to equip 2 armed vessels to cruise and intercept any ships bearing supplies to the British Army. Both proposals. Holy crap!
I seem to remember there was one that had like 4 or 5 of them. Like that.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Both proposals would lay on the table in Congress until October 13th, when another event occurred in favor of a naval movement. A letter from George Washington was read in Congress, in which he reported that he had taken under his command, at continental expense, 3 schooners off the coast, to cruise off the Massachusetts coast to intercept enemy ships. Washington had preempted Congress members who were reluctant to take the first steps in outfitting the warships. Since they were already armed now, he got these ships, put them together, armed them, and said, go out and patrol. Because he was the commander of the Continental Army. And
so what was their goal? To take over the ship, or
if they could intercept the munitions and take them? A lot of times the munitions and stuff weren't escorted by anybody or any military. They were like commercial ships because there was no threat to them.
Right.
There was no real threat, and they were going to Canada, so we couldn't really go up there and get the stuff.
I would, now that I think about it, I think they probably went to Canada to probably supply them up there as well, and then just work the chain down.
Yeah. So since he had already done this, he already armed these ships. It wasn't a huge leap to approve 2 more and make it official. So a naval committee was formed in the Continental Navy over the course of the war grew to more than 50 vessels, armed vessels, that seized enemy supplies, carried correspondence and diplomats to Europe, and brought those diplomats and munitions back from Europe.
I always wondered what these people's voices sounded like. Like, Washington.
Army.
Yeah. Hey, listen here, you're gonna tie the bridge now. Like,
if you read some of the stuff on the Revolutionary War, they said that George Washington's voice was a commanding voice. So I would take that as it was a stern and deep. And, yo, motherfucker!
Yeah. Hey, yo, D!
He sounded like Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Motherfucker! That was
and vengeance be upon me, motherfucker.
So,
Yolanda, cool it. Yolanda, tell your bitch to be wise.
So these 50 armed vessels took nearly 200 vessels as prizes. They caused Great Britain, to divert warships to protect the convoys. So now they had to protect their convoys. So that was more men, that was more money.
Okay, so not only did we build a couple ships, we seized them and now using them?
Wait, George Washington seized those 3 ships. He seized them.
So we didn't really build a navy in the sense that we built ships.
I don't.
We built a navy by
At that time, I think a lot of commercial vessels were commandeered or bought and then converted. I don't know if they actually built warships until after the war. That I don't know. And when they say they seized 200 vessels, they could have sunken or taken over, and maybe they took them and turned them around and used them as American vessels.
I would imagine
that would be the ultimate insult.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, what would you do if you seized a British ship? You can easily convert it into put a couple cannons on it.
It's like Tombstone. You gotta skin that smoke wagon.
Yeah.
Or you just gonna stand there and bleed.
I mean, that's what I would do, but you don't have a lot of money, resources.
That
would be the smart thing to do. That would definitely be the smart thing to do.
Yeah. And it's, during that time, if someone fell in front of you, picked up their gun and ran, that was your gun now.
Yeah.
So, the Navy was credited with provoking a diplomatic crisis that helped bring France into the war against Great Britain. So, my U.S. Navy basically won the war, and we are America because of the Navy. That's what I just read there. Because if it hadn't been for the French jumping in, we would be speaking British, right? We'd be speaking British instead of English.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, certainly a very huge part of this thing you call America. This experiment called America.
Yeah. And it's still an experiment. It's a little sour right now, but
we're going through puberty.
That might be it.
It's like that spoiled little 12-year-old.
It's either puberty or it's senility. So either one.
We're one of the youngest nations around, aren't we?
I would think so. I mean, you have a country like Myanmar, who used to be somebody else.
Burma.
They used to be Burma.
There will always be Burma to me.
Yeah, I met someone who used to work at the American consulate in Burma.
Yeah?
He was a Burmese citizen. He was locked up in our jail. When the Americans left, when they were kicked out of the country, basically anybody, just like in Iraq, anybody who worked for the Americans was going to be tortured or killed. So the diplomats brought him with, and he was basically fighting for citizenship under amnesty from Burma, and he ended up sitting in our jail for like a year when we had all the INS guys there. And he got out, he got his citizenship, and I think he moved to Seattle.
Huh. He's like, God, this place sucks.
Yeah. Fuck America.
I gotta get out of this place.
He was actually cool to talk to. He was very down to earth. You like that one?
Gotta let it.
Yeah. I did that the other night. I had a beer after I had an IPA, and I was like, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
So there was an American sea captain, John Paul Jones. He is sometimes referred to as the father of the American Navy. He came up with a plan. He had some good successes in the North Atlantic and the Irish Sea. And he was from Great Britain.
Ain't that a fucking...
Well, at that time, a lot of people fighting for us were from there.
I guess, you know what? Nobody was really from America.
I'm from America.
We're all, at that point, we're pretty much all foreigners.
So he came up with a bold plan to directly sabotage attacks on the British mainland. And Jones decided he was going to attack the port of Whitehaven with his ship, the Ranger. Now, it wasn't a particularly like valuable target, but it was a place that he knew well because his naval career, his seafaring career started there. He was a child there. He grew up sailing out of there most of his young adult life. And the docks there would host a couple hundred ships, supply ships. So there was always a lot of ships there. What was floating? Is that one of them fruit flies floating in there? So his maritime career was sailing in and out of that port, so he knew it like the back of his hand. He knew the town like the back of his hand. It's better. So the plan was simple. They were going to capture
I knew where to get a good bag of fish and chips, right?
Right. Oh, wait till we get these. See, that's a little Johnny Jump Ahead. You were just joking.
Really?
Yeah, listen. So the plan was to go in and they were going to capture the fort so it would protect their retreat. They were going to go in at low tide so no one could follow them out of the harbor. So they would park their ship, the Ranger, offshore and row in. And then when they left, they'd be leaving when the tide was low. None of the ships could leave the harbor. The battlements wouldn't be able to attack because they were going to capture the forts. And there were 2 forts there. So he was set to attack Whitehaven April 17th, 1778. But the winds weren't in their favor, so they had to abandon the attempt. Now, he's over there sailing around, basically in enemy water. So I don't know how he got this information because they're out on the ship. But he learned that the Drake was anchored off. Oh my God.
Carrickfergus
in Ireland? Is that what it is? Carrickfergus? Carrickfergus?
I'm sure we're not pronouncing it right.
We just butchered.
Sorry if you're from this.
Yeah, if you're from Carrickfergus, I am sorry. Jones intended to attack it in broad daylight, but a lot of the sailors on board were saying, whoa, Captain. I'm not down with that. So they moved the attack till after midnight because it seemed like for some reason this ship was always on the verge of mutiny. And maybe that was like that for a lot of Navy ships at the time. I don't know. For a lot of warships from different countries like that. I don't know. So,
well, honestly, they're not really a U.S. Navy yet, are they?
Yeah, this time they are. This is 1778. Okay. They're calling the Continental Navy. And he had been doing battle for some time with the Continental Navy. So, like, he was a well-known captain. Like, John Paul Jones. Like, everybody knows that name if you're into naval stuff. So there was a sailor who was in a drunken state, caused him to mistime the dropping of the anchor. He was supposed to drop the anchor alongside the Drake. They were going to pull up, boom, 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 do their thing. But so the anchor had to be cut away because it was mistimed. It put them in a bad position, and they abandoned the attack. And then the wind shifted, so they said, "Okay, let's go back to Whitehaven."
What an idiot!
Fuck Keurig. Screw Keurig. Keurigus.
Carrickfergus.
All did not go as planned. Like, it seemed like
you had one job to do, Timmy.
They didn't understand the assignment.
Drop the anchor.
He didn't understand the assignment.
You were drunk and you passed out.
So, on the morning of April 23rd, 1778, he anchored his ship 2 miles off of Whitehaven shore. Dropped in 2 rowboats with 15 men each, 30 men. Jones was in command of one, and Lieutenant Wallingford of the U.S. Marines was in command of the other. The crews were armed with pistols, swords, and combustible candles. I'm assuming they're torches, but it says combustible candles. I don't know what the fuck that means.
Probably some kind of like Molotov cocktail, I would imagine.
Maybe.
Candle, you think you light it? Right?
I'm thinking torch. They can see. I don't know.
I think an explosive.
So they were rowing against the tide. So if they wanted to be there in low tide, the tide's going out, so they're rowing against it. So, and shifting winds had them rowing for 3 hours. They only expected that trip to take an hour and a half. So it was nearly dawn before they reached the harbor. They wanted to reach the harbor when it was pitch black out. So the light's coming up. They're tired because they're rowing for an hour and a half longer than they thought. And, they thought they would have the cover of night to hide them, and that was not the case. Jones and his crew arrived at the southern fort. They climbed the wall by getting on top of each other's shoulders. They captured the guards, and then they spiked the cannons. And what that is basically they took a metal plug and drove it through the fuse hole. It's jamming some metal object through the touch hole of the cannon so it could not be fired. So when they were leaving, even if these guards got free, they couldn't shoot cannons as they were going out.
Right.
This is the only part of their plan that went off without a hitch, the attacking the southern fort. Because it took so long to get there, the second boat's crew, their landers ran out of fuel, so they couldn't light their torches. Like nobody had a bic in their pocket. What the hell?
Well, see now I'm confused because it said that they thought they were going to have the cover of darkness to help them, which they didn't. So I'd assume maybe it was a full moon and it was pretty bright out.
No, the sun was starting to come up.
So why would they need why would they need fuel to light their torches to see? The sun was coming.
The torches were okay. Their plan was to burn these ships, so they needed their torches to burn the ships. So, because they ran out of fuel, instead of capturing a northern fort, they went to a nearby tavern to find fuel for their lanterns. When they got to the tavern, they started drinking. Hey, you know what, Johnny? While we're here, let's have a pint.
That explains this explains a lot.
Dude, it gets worse than this, but I thought that was funny because,
like, hey,
I think it's some fish and chips with a point, please.
I feel like we were here to do something else.
Yeah.
What? Give me another beer.
I have a beer while I think about it.
Well, no, I get your the torch thing. In my mind, I don't know if they have. I'm assuming they even have Molotov cocktails. But
they had nothing to light them.
But then again, these guys probably would have drank the Molotov cocktails.
Oh yeah. Pretty sure.
Fuck, Timmy.
So Jones left the South Fort and headed towards the dock. And
well, that's the other thing. I'm sorry. Did they have matches back
then? No. In fact, when I was doing this, I looked up when I said the same question, dude. Like, when was the match invented?
When was it invented?
I don't remember. But
so
I actually looked it up.
So legit, like their only way to start a fire was probably with like flint and steel, and make a fire and then grab from that.
More than likely.
Ugh.
So if they didn't have flint and steel with them, they went someplace to get oil for their lantern. Well, they ran out of oil, so to light the candles, they needed the oil from the lanterns.
What the hell were they doing with the oil? Because their lamps were burning so long.
That's what made me think they were torches. It took them 3 hours to get there. They were only planning for an hour and a half. They should have packed more oil.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
They were completely unprepared.
Like you're trying to get ahead with your torch. Like, how the fuck do you hide that? You know what I mean?
Well, that's why they didn't light them until they got in there. They only had the lanterns with the dim light. All right. Whatever.
That makes sense.
So Jones gets there. He's expecting to see some of these ships on fire already because they were supposed to capture the north, go and start lighting ships. Nope.
They're down at the fucking. They're down at the hosey.
They're down at the hosey, having a few brewskis. So the sun's starting to rise. The town folk are starting to wake up and stir. If they were going to make a clean escape, they needed to change the plan and move fast. Jones decided that the Thompson was their best bet. The Thompson was loaded with coal. It was bound for Ireland. So he figured if he lit that ship, it's coal. It's going to light easy. And he was hoping it would burn hot enough that it'd be a chain reaction, get at least a couple more ships. So after finding a way to light their torches at a house, they went to a house to light their torches. They tossed the torches into the ship's hold, filled a barrel of tar that was on the deck, set it on fire. There was one other big monkey wrench in the plan. On one of the two boats that came ashore, there was an Irish sailor who had only enlisted in the Continental Navy to get back across the Atlantic to go home. So he was not a loyalist, or he was a loyalist to Great Britain, not to the colony.
Right, yeah. He just wanted to get back.
So while the rest of, it was on the other ship that was supposed to get to Norfolk, he snuck away while everybody was at the pub having fish and chips and drinking beer, and started banging on houses' doors, warning people that they were going to be burned by pirates. Now, he didn't give up the Continental Navy. He kept on saying pirates. So the townspeople rushed to the harbor. They put the fire out in the Thompson before it could spread anywhere, and it forced the Americans to retreat. So Jones and his men, minus the traitor, ran to the boats with 3 prisoners that they had taken while they were capturing the fort, or one of the ships, and headed back to the Ranger.
And a couple bags of fish and chips.
Hey, you got beer with you? Anybody got something to drink? These chips are making me thirsty.
Where's the vinegar?
Oh my God, you forgot to go back for the vinegar.
Honestly, dude, I would smash some fish and chips.
I would too. I'm probably making them cheese dogs after we're done with this.
I've never had a legit
Oh, really?
one from England.
Oh,
Like been in England?
I
and
haven't
had
been
one?
to England and got them.
But, you know, when I worked at the seafood store, we would make them. I don't know how it compares to theirs. It's probably shite, but I thought they were good.
My favorite bar food is fish and chips. By far. Like, if we go someplace, I'll taste their fish and chips to see how it is. And there's only a few places that do them right.
I do like...
Ganley's used to do them right.
Never had that. I don't... when I go out, I really don't get seafood.
I don't get fish when I go out. Because you're planning on having another fish later.
No, yeah. I'm scared to, get sick from fish, and I'm a little leery. But I do really enjoy the vinegar on French fries. Now, I don't know if in England, I know they put vinegar on... I don't know if they put vinegar on both.
I mean, they put white vinegar on.
I thought it was malt vinegar.
We use malt vinegar.
I can tell you...
maybe not. Maybe...
I can tell you down...
Actually, some people in Schuylkill County use white vinegar. Nathan loves malt vinegar. We used to go to... not Arthur Treacher's, Long John Silver's.
Mm-hmm.
And we would buy the bottle of malt vinegar from them for them.
Yeah, I know they sell it in the store. It has a British flag on it. It says malt vinegar.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I don't know what the difference is in between flavor between white and malt.
Oh, there's a malty flavor to the malt vinegar.
But when we go down, if you go down when I used to go down to Rehoboth as a child, they had Thrasher's French fries,
mm-hmm.
the big bucket of the hand cut fries, and just salt. And I think it's white. I think it's white vinegar. It's not in a glass bottle. They pour the stuff into a squeeze bottle,
a sprayer, yeah.
And it's outside of the store, and you just put on what you want.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, salt. Oh my God.
Nathan loves salt vinegar chips. He puts vinegar on everything.
Well, I told you I made that mustard chicken.
Yeah.
You got to try that. It's
not just going to magically appear in front of me.
No. But it's low carb, actually 0 carb, because you have the chicken. I use the thighs because it tastes way better than chicken breast. But just squirt whatever spicy mustard you have, and then I did it in I would like to do them on the grill, but I did it on a grill pan inside. And, so good. I think I actually sprinkled seasoning on the chicken breast, both sides, and then marinated in mustard overnight. They were really good.
So now the townspeople put out the fire. The 2 boats are headed back to the Ranger. They can't fire the cannons at them because they spiked the cannons. They're eating their fish and chips.
It's like,
they're drinking their booze.
We weren't so drunk we would have fucked you guys up.
So you would think that, hey, it's low tide. They can't follow us. Let's get the hell out of here.
Oh, no.
But Jones came up with another plan. He was going to kidnap Dunbar Douglas, the fourth Earl of Selkirk, and use him to exchange for American sailors who were impressed into the British Navy. Like, they were hurting for people, so instead of putting them in jail, we can either hang you or you could fight on our ships.
Well, that's a tough decision.
Where do I swab? So the Rangers sailed from Whitehaven to St. Mary's Isle near Kirkcudbright, Scotland. And when they arrived at the Earl's home, they stopped, knocked on the door. A servant led them into the parlor. The Earl's wife came out and offered them tea. So she said, no, the Earl's not home, but I will conduct negotiations here for you. So you don't go away empty-handed. She offered up some of the family silver. A servant gave them a bag that had the family silver on top. What they didn't know, and they didn't find out until they returned to the ship, that they had filled the rest of the bag with coal. So, Jones claimed that he intended to return directly to the ship, but his crew wanted to pillage and plunder all they could. Jones, he was a man of honor. He hated thieves. He didn't like thievery. He felt it was beneath them that they were on a warship. They were not pirates. But he allowed the crew to seize it's a silver plate set with the family's crest on it, just to say, okay, take the plates and let's get the hell out of here.
I don't want to steal your silver. I just want to steal you. Your husband.
Yeah, we want your husband. We're honorable men. We're just going to kidnap your husband.
Yeah. So you think what kind of scumbags steal your silver?
When they returned to the Ranger, they found out the deception of the half bag of coal. And it seemed like it just seemed to me like this ship was plagued with bad luck and disobedient sailors.
Huh. Sounds like a ship I probably would have been in if I was in the Navy.
So Jones sailed back across the Irish Sea to Carrickfergus, where the Drake was still anchored, and they took another run at the Drake. As would happen, the Ranger captured the crew of a reconnaissance boat on their way over on April 24th, and learned that the Drake had taken on soldiers in case they came back, and they were going to grapple the boat and pull them aboard should they make another attempt. So late in the afternoon on the 24th, the two ships engaged in combat, and they knew what the other boat had planned on doing. They knew what their attack strategy was, so they were able to get around it. And after a 2-hour-long gun battle, the British captain lost his life, and the Drake was captured. So, that was the big victory, for this whole thing. Like, they went through all this, they attacked the English mainland for the first time ever, and the best they could do is capture the Drake. Because everything else failed. But this is interesting, because after the war, Jones looked for the silver plates that had been taken. And he found them in an auction in France. And he traveled back and returned the plates with an apology, like a personal apology to them for having stolen them in the first place. Which I thought was, it's so British. Like, the British are so polite and
yeah.
You know,
that shit wouldn't happen
proper.
nowadays.
No. It was in, so Jones is also famous for the quote, "I have not yet begun to fight." And that was 1779 at the Battle of Flamborough Head. And that is it. That is the
Huh.
The United States Revolutionary War attack on Great Britain mainland.
Bunch of drunken sailors.
Bunch of drunken sailors eating fish and chips,
Drinking whiskey.
Drinking
running
whiskey.
out of oil.
stealing silver.
Falling asleep on duty.
Yeah, falling asleep, getting drunk and falling asleep on duty. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I like that one.
I never knew that we had actually had an attack on British soil, successful or not. But it seems like when he was over there, you would think that everything he did kind of wreaked havoc over there, made them think like, hey, we can be vulnerable. And also, he had his fingers in so many things when he was there, it probably had them running around chasing their tail a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost like you wouldn't know what to do. You're not prepared for that. I mean, they're just, at that point, just kind of toying with them because they're so complacent. Like, this will never happen to us. They don't have a fucking... They don't have some drunk guy who's got the balls to come over here with 60 other drunk guys.
and eat all our fish and chips.
That's funny, though. Like, they broke into the bar.
It doesn't say.
And they're like, shit.
I'm assuming because it was almost dawn, the bar would be closed. So they didn't go in and start buying drinks.
They just went in and started drinking drinks.
Give me that beer.
I mean, I kind of think I probably would do the same thing. Shit. If I was there and everybody else was.
If I was there and you were there, and like, shit, we ran out of oil. Well, let's go to town and get some oil. Okay. When we get there, Mike, what were you
here?
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, what are you guys doing? What is that? Nothing.
I just had a fish and chips. A pint. You mind if I have a pint?
You see the galley cook back there frying up fish and chips. Like,
hey guys, anybody else want some?
Order up!
I don't know, I thought it was interesting. I never knew that. I have a couple more topics that were, one was a World War II related topic.
I think we need to change the name of our freaking podcast.
To what?
Something like history. We're always doing like history stuff.
Well, I have a couple, in the bag, a little bit of research is done.
Fish and chips bag?
A fish and chips bag. A little bit of research is done on, other Pennsylvania serial killers.
Okay.
So I want to do some more true crime stuff. Unfortunately, Lexi couldn't be here again because her new job has her working Saturdays, which really sucks because I really like to do true crime with her. She loves that.
Well, save those ones for her. Go with her.
If Nathan had been home, I would have suckered him into coming down and sit with us.
Sit down with a duo and just do some true crime shit.
Yeah, I like when you're here. I like getting mad at
you. Along with everyone else.
Trying to jump ahead. So, that is our attack on Great Britain during the Revolutionary War. We took that on. Now you go take on the world.
Our podcasts exist because of listeners like you. To find other great shows, head over to theden.show. Thanks for listening.
Hold on, stop.
Welcome back to the Shit Show 2.0.
Okay, Boomer.
Damn millennials. Wow.
Did not know that.
Even flirters who are obviously mentally ill.
You want to be my wife?
Oh, this is gonna go downhill real quick.